Live from 51 on Madison in beautiful College Town, this is the Warchant.com post-game show alongside, very excited to be alongside, I should say, the founder and administrator of Warchant.com, Gene Williams. My name is Tom Lang, ESPN Radio by day, Warchant by post-game. Gene, look at this. Doesn't this feel a little bit closer to normal?
This is fantastic, man. We got a football game. There's people around. They're drinking. We had FSU football today. This is so much fun. Man, a sign of things to come. And it was actually, we'll get into it, but it was actually, some fun football to watch. It wasn't ugly. There were some plays being made on both sides of the ball. So it was great. But yeah, if we can switch, we have we are at 51 on Madison, by the way, which is a really neat location between Township, if you're familiar with College Town, between Township and Tin Lizzie's. And it's right in there. They've got not only the bar, which is really sweet. There's a lot of nice, cool FSU stuff in there. You got a little alcove where we are at in the outside area. You can see our view looking out in the distance is actually, that's Madison Street. That's College Town. Got Kush's right across the street from here. So this is a really neat thing, man. If you're a Seminole booster, definitely hit this place up. It's fun. And Tom, hopefully we'll be here again some in the fall. Yeah. That'd be nice. And we got a little programming note. That's the thing you love about technology, man. It's beautiful when it works. We had some issues with the phone line, so I know Gator, Kirk, Daryl, Mark and Naples, all you guys, I know you're like dying to get in here and give your input, but right now we don't have the phone lines working. I don't think we're going to get them to work during the show, but we will be able to take your input via social media, right, Tom? We're all good on that?
Yeah, the comments work fine, and I missed all these guys. Like, Daryl, I wanted to talk to you. I want to talk to you. It's been since the football season that we've had a discussion, but Google Voice, I'm telling you, Gene watched it. Google Voice is failing us. And when Google fails us, the world comes to an end. And so, therefore, it's going to be a lot of comments. We might have a guest or two come by.
Yes, you're we'll tease that. A coach/co-host.
Yep, that's right.
He'll be coming on the show shortly, and he's got some. He was jazzed up. I don't see Jeff that jazzed up. He was excited.
He is. Well, he is my co-host. That's right, Gene. I think you nailed that. But this is a day where I think a lot of people are excited, Gene. The way this game finished up. Obviously, the scoreboard doesn't really count. The offense put up 20 points in the course of the two quarters where they gave us a little extra time, 15 minutes instead of 12. But if you are trying, and I've called this, I called the spring game all week long on the Jeff Cameron Show. I've called it the sales game. If you're trying to push the program, if you're trying to impress recruits, if you're trying to see flashes and where fans and boosters that are like the boosters here at 51 on Madison, if you're trying to give people reasons to buy into the program, I thought today, given the roster limitations and the talent limitations, today went about as good as it possibly could.
Well, that's the thing. It was clean. There wasn't a whole lot. I mean, that's the thing that I've noticed going to some of the practices and some of the scrimmages. Well, you've noticed with Mike Norvell, he's organized, so the stuff is clean. Guys are getting plays off. They know how to line up. They don't line up backwards, Tom. That has happened in the past.
Yeah, that's right.
Penalties, the pre-snap penalties were minimal. There were one or two today, but not bad. And guys are making plays. You saw offensive. You saw a bunch of sacks. Yep. You saw Jermaine Johnson being the freak that we know he is. You saw some guys on offense. And I'm telling you, my guy, I know he's a freshman, but Malik Mclean, I'm telling you, I don't know if we got to come up with some kind of diehard thing with the Mclean, or so. There's got to be some cool thing to do with him on that. He looked great in this game, and we're going to talk a lot about this. But the two quarterbacks, man, I thought they both looked. Jordan Travis, Mckenzie Milton, they both look really good. I like what I saw to both of them. This is the best I've seen Mckenzie Milton.
Yeah,
since we started spring practice.
So I've been to a few practices, and I would say that, Mckenzie showed flashes at times, but it was clear that Jordan Travis was way ahead. Today, Mckenzie gives you a lot of reason for hope. I'm not going to be one, and I know we talked about this before we even got set up here earlier today, Gene. You don't overreact to a spring game. It is one practice and a bunch of practice. It's the culmination of a camp. It's not the same thing as a game against Notre Dame to start the season. It's not the same thing as playing Wake Forest on the road in week 3, which is going to be a huge game for Florida State. But from what I saw today, it gave you reasons, it gave you glimmers of hope for fall camp. More development in the offseason, Mckenzie working with his new teammates, getting more comfortable within the offense, Jordan Travis continuing to develop. There are reasons to be excited within the expectation that, this isn't a vintage 2013 Florida State team, but it's giving you reason to think that maybe 7 wins, maybe 8 wins might be possible. And I agree with you. I've been talking about Malik Mclean throughout the spring on the show, and he showed out today. There was no doubt about it.
He did, man. It's a consistency, and that's the thing that people it's a freshman. There's a reason we don't see a lot of true freshman receivers get out there. I mean, it's a consistent running plays consistently, getting the separation, and being a freak is one thing. You can translate that, but running the routes, because catching the ball, that's been one of the big bugaboos of these freshman wide receivers, and that has not been the consistency there. But we did see it in this game. But we also got to throw at the other freshman, Josh Burrell, might have had maybe the best play I saw in the spring game was Mckenzie Milton to Joshua Burrell. Down the middle, he had two guys on him in tight coverage, and Mckenzie laid the ball in there. And I was walking back to 51 on Madison. I ran into some friends of mine. And I said they were laughing. I said, I didn't know. Remember the last time FSU had a quarterback that made a pass like that?
Right.
I mean, think about it. I mean, you just a tightly covered pass down the middle of the field. A quarterback laid the ball right in there for a big play. That was beautiful to see.
Yeah, and I thought, okay, so if you wanted to see defensive players step up in this game, you had Jermaine Johnson make a lot of plays. You had Jerrion Jones, Kevin Knowles in the flats. How about how he gets?
Yes.
You saw Amari Gaynor make some plays. The interior of the defensive line. Like, again, I'm not going to get overhyped about a spring game performance and think that it means that Florida State's going to win 10 games this fall. That's not what we're doing here. But if you're looking for players to flash, pretty much every position. I love what I saw to the running backs today. Trayshawn Ward, who was just awarded a scholarship. We saw a lot of flash out of him. I like DJ Williams as a short yard.
Tolefield had some nice runs.
He had a nice sequence of about 2 or 3 plays in a row. You saw Jordan Travis get through progression. There was one throw he made to Brian Robinson on the third down that got us over midfield, where he goes through his progression. He finds the weakness of his Sidney Williams against Brian Robinson, and he hits him in stride. There were a lot of plays. There were a lot of plays out there, and maybe the coaches did a little bit of scripting to help those plays come along. But, Gene, if you were just looking for some life, you found it today. That's what I keep coming back to. These things aren't something that you're going to take to the bank when it comes to over-under win totals in the fall. But this went about as well as it possibly could have for Florida State today.
So I'm going to go ahead and look. I already shared the offensive stats. I want to look at the defense here, Tom. So now we're looking at the defensive stats.
Yep.
You mentioned Jermaine Johnson had the, a couple sacks there, but he didn't even play a half, I don't think. And he's so quick off the ball and so physical.
Yes.
And, I mean, I hate to be the SEC rah-rah guy, but he looks like an SEC defensive end. He does. He's a man among boys. He's legit. But I also saw a couple other defensive ends get in there. Briggs looked good at times. Ray coming up the middle looked good at times. Other guys, we know Johnson what he is. If he can get one other player to just be competent, be decent at defense, and what would that do if you could have two guys coming off the edges disrupting the offenses?
Oh, absolutely. I think even having one is a sight for sore eyes. I mean, it's been since what, DeMarcus Walker or Brian Burns got hot.
Yeah.
But DeMarcus Walker I'm seeing that kind of impact out of Jermaine Johnson. Now, I don't want to overreact because he's going against our tackles. And so we might be a little bit limited there, but you can tell it's different. It's just different. And, Gene, even if you have one player like that, what happens is a coordinator, an offensive coordinator, and a head coach have to scheme around stopping that pass rush.
Yeah.
So it's amazing what it can do for the back end of the defense to make corners and safeties look better. You saw, was it Knowles that undercut and made the interception earlier today? It was on the Rodemaker pass.
Knowles, yes. I believe Knowles had that pick. Yes, he did. He had an interception, a couple tackles for losses, too. Knowles looked great. And that guy should be good with that name.
Oh, I know. It's a perfect fit. It's an absolute perfect fit. And there's just everybody looks better when the D-line whips the offensive line up front, right? And we've been lacking here in the trenches. Last year, we were counting on the defensive interior to be the best segment on the team. It was one of the worst. It was one of the most disappointing segments from preseason expectations to the reality of the regular season that I can remember in a long, long time. But there are things to be a little bit more excited about. And I noticed, obviously, it's been up there for a little while. I was here at 51 on Madison holding it down and making sure that everybody stayed away from our equipment. And I noticed that on the ACC network there was lacrosse on for about 5 to 10 minutes. We appreciate you, Premier Youth Theater, first of all.
Oh, yeah!
I did bring the Macho Man with us, so we appreciate the donation to the program. But I had to find my way to ACC Network Extra, Gene, while I was at the desk here for the first 5 football minutes. It was incredibly infuriating and pretty much on brand for the ACC. Wouldn't you agree?
That's disappointing. But let's talk about the quarterbacks a little bit, because it's interesting to me that I will say, and I in our war room earlier, and I got some feedback, some people inside the staff, that Jordan Travis had a pretty wide lead on Mckenzie Milton for that job. And, if you saw enough of the practices, you saw why that's the case. And what Mckenzie was able to do today, I really think this is exactly for him to compete for that job. If he would have gone out and laid an egg, I think we'd all gone in the offseason going, it's Jordan Travis's. I think it's back to a 50-50 at this point, because him under the lights be able to put together that performance and do what he did and make those clutch throws. Although I got to say, the other play that resonated with me, I think it was a 3rd and 18, and Jordan was flush to the right, and he threw across his body to Cam McDonald's and picked up a 3rd and 18.
Right.
He's the only one who can make that play. There's not another quarterback. There's a handful of quarterbacks that can make that play in all of college football.
Yeah, well, given his elusiveness, he made Jamal Johnson look dumb in the open field when he took about 3 guys in the backfield to give himself a chance at a first down. We all know what he can do in a phone booth, but if he can get through his progressions more, and he can obviously clean up some of the mechanical errors from last year, that's one thing that we all noted right away from seeing practice. Was how much smoother does he look? How much more like a quarterback does he look in spring? That's one thing that absolutely translated from practice. But if you're hearing surprise in Gene's voice, everybody, it's because we didn't necessarily see his performance from Mckenzie Milton coming. He struggled. Plain and simple. He struggled in camp. He is now back in the race. There is no doubt about it. You're not going to count him as quarter, but I thought the back shoulder throw.
The touchdown. Yeah, that was beautiful.
You could tell he got in rhythm today. The offense in general was in rhythm. And I have to say, kudos to the coaching staff, Gene. I think if you split these two teams up and you played it like we have played it, like a competitive game on the scoreboard, and you split up the offensive lines rather than going 1v1s and 2v2s, I don't know that you get this much out of the game. I don't know that you get as much for fans to take away, for recruits to take away. I don't think you get as much explosiveness because now you're having guys play with people they're not used to playing with. I thought, given where our depth is right now, this I guess the outline of how they executed the spring game was about as good as could be drawn up. Again, when we woke up today, Gene, we weren't certain that we were going to play because of the weather. And you had the squall line pushed through. There was a tornado warning around noon today here locally in Tallahassee. We hope everybody's all right. It pushed through without much of an incident, and this game went off without a hit. It really did. It's
unbelievable because we were sitting here, I don't know, it was about 4 o'clock, and there are people in here going, the game's going to be moved to 6:30.
Right.
And then it was like, it reminded me of the 2010 Gator Bowl where suddenly the clouds just cleared, and the front moved through, and we went off without a hitch. At 5 o'clock, there wasn't a drop of rain. Yep. It's a beautiful day if you made the trip. And I know a lot of our fans, a lot of our pillars are making the trip from all over the country to come in here today to see this thing. So it's neat. Oh, by the way, just to get that out there, in case you missed it earlier, right before the spring game, Florida State got a commitment, the 11th commitment for the 2022 class. That's Rodney Hill from Georgia, a 3-star running back committed to Florida State. So you go to Warchant, read more about that. Michael Langston is trying to track down right now 100 recruits around the stadium. So check out Warchant for more details on that. Poor Michael's by himself because we got the staff doing interviews right now via Zoom. And if you are around, we're going to have the staff will be here soon. Corey Clark, Ira Schofel, Aslan Hajavani, they'll all be here. And speaking of staff, I don't know, at some point, when do we want to bring on your cohort to talk a little? I
think he's enjoying a post-game Guinness right now. It looks like. I think he's enjoying a Guinness. I'll grab it in a second. But yeah, as I put it up on the screen here it is, 51 on Madison. Look at this atmosphere. Gene, we're getting closer to normal again.
Oh, this is fantastic, man. You can feel, you appreciate it all the more because we had a year we didn't get this. This is
Correct.
Which is so cool. There's people here enjoying football, enjoying the camaraderie, drinking, talking FSU sports. It's fantastic, Tom.
So if you were to outline, Gene, we've already kind of hit on a lot of different positions, a lot of different players because every group really flashed today.
Yeah.
If you were to say, all right, I am most impressed by the thing that makes me happiest walking out of the stadium today as you prepared for this, what put a smile on your face more than anything else?
I think because there was plays on both sides of the ball. It was clean. You saw, it was like if you're a defensive guy, there's people like Corey talked about. Corey said he wanted to see the defense dominate. He thought that would be the best sign. Aslan was like, no, I want to see the quarterbacks make plays and big plays down the field. I want to see the receivers do something. I want to see the defensive ends get pressure. Whatever you wanted to see, you saw in this game. At the end of the day, plays were made on both sides of the ball. Look, people overrate almost always what happens in the spring, especially what happens in the spring game. But at the end of the day, this looked cleaner than what we've seen the last several years. It looked like these guys knew what they were doing. They were making plays, and that will ultimately translate to the fall. Again, this isn't going to be a 10-win team. It's not going to compete for a national championship, but this will be an improved team, and I think we saw the evidence of it out there today.
Well, I think also I keep coming back to this. Maybe I'm a broken record, and I'm sorry for that, but there's just a lot of enthusiasm, Gene. You know, when we were doing these post-game shows last year, they were fun. But we were both in our offices. You were in the man cave. I was in my office back at home. We're now out and about around a crowd of Noles fans and boosters here at 51 on Madison who are really enjoying their time today. And there were enough plays on both sides of the ball that there can be real enthusiasm. Like, Jeff came off the field. I know that he was a coach, so he's got an extra story to tell, and so he's happy about that. But he's enthusiastic about what he's seen, about the development, about the organization behind the scenes with the coaching staff. You know, hope doesn't mean you're going to win 9 or 10 games, but there is real hope for long-term success here, and they did an exceptional job on the field of selling what product they had. So if it is repetitive, I think it's because we're all kind of surprised. I expected this to go off a little bit shakier today. I expected it to be sloppy. I expected more drops from the receivers. I expected more penalties. But, I mean, relatively speaking, this was a clean game. 30 minutes of it at least. Well, I'll go back to Jeff in just a second.
Yeah, go get Jeff. But isn't this what we want to see? I mean, we want to see, look, at the end of the day, we just want to see a cleaner product, guys being organized, guys know what they're lining up. Oh, our boy, Shane. Yeah.
Hey, Shane, he's out there somewhere. Shane, thank you very, very much.
Oh,
51.
He's here? He is here?
Yeah, he says he's hanging out right now. He dropped the 99 spot.
Come on by, buddy, and say hello, man. We appreciate that very much. That's awesome.
Ooh,
Some of the pillars are coming through. We got the Macho Man. We don't have the horn, but we got the Macho Man.
That's right. We got the Macho Man. So, Gino,
man.
I'll ask you this while I go get Jeff. So I'll leave you with a question because that's what producers do, tee you up for something. But is there anything that left you with a bitter taste? Is there anything that you're disappointed by today? And I'll go get Jeff, and we'll get him set up.
You know, you can always, if you look hard enough, you can find something negative, I suppose. I mean, still, look, I think the official count was, I'm looking at this right now, it was 13 sacks. Let me look at this. Yes, there were 13 sacks. Now, spring, if you go by spring stuff, it's exaggerated because, you know, if you get near a quarterback, they call a sack. The disappointing thing was, still, I saw a lot of pressures from the defensive ends. I know there's Malcolm Ray, there's all these other guys, but still, to me, that's a little bit of a thing. Oh, James B. Let's get this in here now. James B. coming through. Here we go. James B. with $50 and
Boom.
joining us.
Boom. Hey,
the
so
one, the only, Coach Cameron joins us on Warchant Live here. There he is.
I have a quick question. So I saw James B. just came through with $50, but it was as I was sitting down. Do I get a portion of that $50, Gene?
You have to talk to Tom about it. You guys break that up. You guys let us split that up. James B. Or James B. can go ahead and put on social. Who gets your $50, James?
I was going to say, right when I said James B. put $50 up there, do I get any of that?
Well, Jeff Cameron, man.
What's up, baby?
How you doing? Coach Cameron coming through today. And, Jeff, you came up to me. When you walked up here, man, there was a gleam in your eye. There was a skip in your step. You were really jazzed up about the ability to go out there and meet with the coaches. I know you had a dinner. You got to do the whole thing and then be able to call the play. And you look like the defensive coordinator. Tell us about the play calling here. Start with that. Tell us a little bit about how that went down.
I did both. It was cool because me and Gene Deckeroff was my assistant coach, or I was his assistant coach, however you want to say it. And it was awesome. We got to do both two sets of offensive play calls and 2 sets of defensive play calls. And I absolutely – Gene, it was so fun. A different perspective because I had King Dillingham in my headset, I had Mike Norvell in my headset, I had Adam Fuller in my headset, and they made it fun. They're razzing the time with you, but you realize that play clock, man, that 40 seconds goes quick. You got to go, and especially if you make a play, it's now. They set the ball down and go, and they gave us the ability to run tempo. They gave us the ability to. Basically run some base sets and stuff like that. We had a great time. I'll tell you something, though, Gene, getting to the bigger question, the dinner was more important, I think, than anything for me to go to because, and I don't think Coach Norvell would mind me saying this, those kids are going to play hard for him. They're going to play really hard for him. He had the entire team out to his house. And you good?
Oh, yeah.
I see. Somebody tipped.
$100.
Wow.
The Benjamins.
So, yeah, they had the whole team out to the house for a team dinner. Coach Norvell invited me and Gene out to that. And I met, with the coach and his family and all the coaches. I had good conversations with everybody and talked to Jermaine Johnson quite a bit. He's a really interesting young man. He's smart. He's funny.
Yeah.
He's also built like the players from 2013. He's one of the guys that looks like one of our guys when we won championships. There aren't too many guys like that.
He looks like a Georgia-Alabama defensive end. There it is. Are you allowed to give that away? Are you going to get in trouble with that, Jeff? Can we show that? Take a screenshot.
Little play sheet, quick. But those are just base plays. I don't think he cares. We could call plays off of this, which was fun too. But so anyhow, I went out to that dinner. I just want to say this. Mike Norvell addressed his team, and I won't say what he said because I don't know that he would want me to do that. But he talked to his team, and you could tell he cares very deeply about these kids and their commitment to Florida State, the ones that are still here that are veteran players and the new players that are going to set the stage for the future. And he was passionate when he thanked all of them one by one for coming out to his house. And he talked about how he was sad that because of COVID they hadn't previously been able to do that, but that he wants them to understand they can call that house anytime, day or night, if they're having a hard time or if they need to talk to coach for any reason, and that they're part of his extended family. And he said it in a way that it was obviously ringing true. And the players, almost all of them, to a man, walked up to him afterward, thanked him, and gave him a hug. So I think there's unity here for the first time in a long time.
So you're saying he's just like Jimbo?
I'll tell you this: he's affable, he's tough, but he cares a lot, and those kids know that. I think they know that. I don't want to give this up either, but I talked to somebody who's been here a long, long time, somebody Gene, and he came up to me at this event and he said, "We're going to be all right." And and he's a no BS guy, and I said to him, I think so, but I don't think they're going to be real good this year. And he goes, "Oh no, they're not going to be real good this year." He goes, "But we're going to be all right long term. This guy gets it." And he was talking about the organization. He was talking about the work ethic. He was talking about how much the guy cares. And he said, "I've been here for everybody." He's like, "I started working with Bowden. I've been here for everybody." And he said, "This guy here, he's got a lot of Bowden in him. He gets it. He gets the big picture." So I think when we're going through the kind of year that I'm predicting they're going to have, which is 6-6 type season, if you're going to go through that kind of a year, you better damn well get commitment. You better damn well get effort, and you got to know that they're building towards something and that this isn't a fractured thing anymore. And I don't think it is. I think it's a unified front now, and it's been a long time since it's been that.
Well, that's fun to hear, Jeff. That's very encouraging. And let me get your take, because we've been talking about the quarterbacks. This is the best. And you went to a couple practices, and we got to see Mckenzie Milton. This is the best I've seen him play. That throw he had to Burrell
down the middle,
was about – I have not seen a pass like a Florida State quarterback do that in years, probably since Jameis.
Yeah.
And to see him do that, to me, I really thought Jordan Travis had the job going into the offseason. And he played well. That pass he had to Cam McDonald being flushed to the outside, thrown across his body, it was Patrick Mahomes-esque that he pulled that off. But, I mean, Mckenzie, from when you saw him, the last scrimmage, you saw him till now, how big a jump was that?
Huge leap, because he's looked lost this entire spring until really recently. I've been to 4 practices and 1 scrimmage, or 3 practices and 1 scrimmage. And now this. I'll tell you this, what was interesting is I was down on the field for the entirety of that scrimmage, and I could hear in the headset late what Kenny Dillingham was telling him. You can tell he's starting to get the offense, and it's taking him. He did not understand the offense, and that's nobody's fault.
People, it's 2 weeks. What do you expect?
Yeah, you got to learn it. And he's starting to pick up on it. I actually think he knows the offense better than Tate. You saw Tate take those sacks late in the 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Those sacks. You can't take those sacks, and they were not happy about that. But I will say that Mckenzie went from not really being in the race, because frankly he's been outshined this whole spring, to, okay, you have my attention.
Yeah, we have a real race now.
Yeah. There's going to be fun in the fall.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun in the fall. They're going to go to war, those two. I will say this.
What a good problem to have. I mean, we haven't had that problem in a while. It's been James Blackman versus, I don't know, whatever we had in the past.
Just a bunch of bad quarterbacks, right? And bless their hearts, good kids. But, yeah, I'll tell you this. That was fun to watch them and to listen to them talk to each other, listen to the coaches talk to the players. You know, Mike is a really good mixture of hard ass, get on you, tell you what you got, what you need to know. If you're not doing what he's asking you to do, he's going to tell you about it. But he's also going to pick you back up. I saw him really scream down a couple of players in a teaching moment, and then he turned around right after it was over, and I watched him walk over like a few minutes later, kind of like if you're a parent out there, kind of like when you yell at your kids, you have to teach them a lesson for something.
Yeah.
And then you go back in a little bit later and say, listen, I love you. The reason I had to do that was, and you always try to circle back around. That's what Mike does. That's what a lot of these coaches do. They'll get on you. They'll let you know that you did it wrong and why and how devastatingly poor that effort was or whatever it is. And then they're going to come back and tell you, look, man, you're better than that. That's why I'm on you. You got to be better than that because we're not going to get to where we need to go without you. You got to step up your game. And it's you feel it, man. You want to run through a wall.
By the way, this is Jeff Cameron, 97.90 ESPN Radio. You can listen to him 3 to 6 Monday through Friday. And you guys are on YouTube, right? You got your own YouTube thing going, and you can do you can do it on the podcast, all that, so you can listen to Jeff and Tom talk FSU football all the time, man. Last thing I'll let you go, and then Tom brought this up too. We appreciate this now, Jeff, seeing this, going to a game, watching football, seeing the fans come out in College Town and be able to do this again. It's like you can't have the sweet without the sour. We have the sour, and now our experience is sweet. How sweet is this?
Walking here, Gene, from the stadium back over here, feeling that buzz, and then walking down this and coming here to the restaurant and seeing all these Florida State fans together again. It's absolutely huge, and you can't take it for granted. I'm glad you brought it up because sometimes I just sit back and I look around a little bit and realize, holy hell, it's been a long time since you got to and people are excited. Look, I mean, I think we know we're not where we want to be. Everybody knows that. But we're headed in the right direction. And that's just when you're aimless, when you feel like you don't have an answer, being in limbo is tough in any aspect of your life. Like if you don't know what to do, if you have a difficult task and you know what it's going to take to get there, even if it's going to be hard, you're going to be fine, right? So it's a little bit like I see these people here, and I'm talking to everybody as I walk it over, and they're like, listen, I like that guy. I like this staff. We're going to get there. Yeah. The defense was improved today, too, and I've been hard on this defense because I'll tell you what, last year was an embarrassment. Now, I understand why. We had unique circumstances, but the defense looked a lot better out there today. You can see guys know where to be. They don't always make the play, but they know where to be. It's pretty important. We saw guys running free all last year.
Well, that's the start. If you don't know where to be, you're not going to it's impossible to make the play.
Right,
if you're in the area where the play is happening because you know your responsibility, you might make a play. Yeah. That's the first thing. But, you're right. They were there for that. But, Tom and I talked about that earlier. It doesn't matter whether you're excited. You wanted to see something on the defensive line. You saw plays. Linebackers made some plays. The defensive backs made some plays.
How about play this year?
Yeah. He's going to be the linchpin. And then how about, you get Jamie Robinson made some plays. And Knowles, the freshman, was out there making some plays, had the pick, had a couple tackles for loss. Yeah. So regardless of what you were excited about, this is one of those springs where everything was as good as it could be. And there wasn't very few penalties, guys lined up correctly. Again, like you said, this is going to be a 6-7, maybe high-end 8-win team. But, I mean, you're going to see improvement. You're going to see guys be competitive. And I think that's the goal.
Yeah, man, fundamentally sound, competitive. I know nobody likes to hear that. Those are buzzwords for we suck. I get it.
A 3-win team, that is a major improvement. You take it.
You got to take that step forward because you can't get to 10 wins overnight. It's not going to happen. They don't have the players for it. But we know that 2022 class, Gene, you know this. The folks at Warchant.com know
another
this.
Commitment today.
Yeah, they are recruiting with a buzz right now that is palpable. And I talked to some of the recruits. I saw some kids out there. I mean, they're excited about Florida State, Gene. It's interesting. I find that stunning, by the way, because I don't know where that comes from. That means that he's a relationships guy. Clearly,
well, like you said, you interacted with him personally, and you see why he can recruit at that level. So same thing Bowden have. It's because he cares, and it's one of those things you can't fake it. These kids, and once now COVID is being lifted, they can interact with this guy more personally, and they're seeing it. How smart, you talk about savvy. Mullen's doing what he does in Gainesville. We're not going to have any spring game, whatever nonsense. In Miami, we're just going to kind of shut everything down. He goes, you know what? Fine. I'm going to get my top recruits, Travis Hunter and these guys, and I'm going to organize them to bring every freaking recruit in the Southeast in for this game. The 100-plus recruits here today. He took advantage of that, and look what's happening right now. You're seeing the positive repercussions of them doing that.
Well, I want to say this. I saw somebody say, they shook their head that we were talking about them just being competitive. You don't go from where we were last year and the players that we have to winning 11 games. It doesn't happen.
No.
It's not going to happen overnight. That's not how building football programs works. It's not the goal ultimately to just be competitive. We're realists and pragmatic. That's the reality of this season. What happens after that year is a very different story. I think you can begin to take those steps towards 9-10 wins and compete in the Atlantic and have a chance, obviously, at some point, maybe 2-3 years down the road, to start to unseat Clemson. But you're a ways off. I mean, if you look at those players, we've got a ways to go. That 2022 class, Gene, has to stay intact. They got to do enough to convince them to come through and make sure it happens.
But you know what? The thing is, the fact that these guys are going ahead and committing on a 3-win team, all you need to do is show improvement, you show confidence, and that will, because I think Norvell's a good enough recruiter and the staff, and it will retain those guys, and they'll build on that. So you see the future is really bright.
Well, and just have a non-COVID year where you can actually install, connect with the kids, teach them the way you want to. They didn't even have a spring last year. You had no chance. And I understand people say, well, nobody had a step. Yeah, but first-year coaches trying to make an impact and build a group up who was really, I think, lacking a lot of confidence. Obviously, it's a fraction of confidence. Now you walk in, you don't even get to establish your culture. You don't even get to compete with it. Yeah. And then, and these guys are watching how to run the defense on Zoom meetings. From their hometown in Miami or somewhere in Georgia. That's not going to get done. You can't coach football that way. So I think they're just so relieved to be able to put their hands on them and do that now and show them where to do it. Really
so it helps. Yeah. Thank you, Jeff Cameron. Jeff Cameron, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Check him out. 3 to 6. Coach Cameron. Does Tom have to refer to you as Coach Cameron now?
You can. It was fun. I got a newfound respect. I mean, I've always known coaching's hard, but seeing how quick those things happen is really pretty amazing.
That's the thing, because you're a fan. I wonder about that, because you see that clock go, why is it taking them so damn long to get the play down? But, it's different when all the pressure, you got 20 voices in your head, this and this is going on. You're looking at this shit, and you're going, what do we do? What do we do?
Let me tell you something. They're free with their opinions in that headset. They're free with their opinions in that headset. As soon as you say something, they're like, that ain't going to fucking work. What are you doing? It's hilarious. So, sorry about that. I forgot we're talking about
it's all good, right. Jeff. Thank you, Jeff.
Hey, be good, guys.
Check them out Monday. I'll have a full breakdown with Tom on the spring game. All right, guys. This has been a fun time. We are live here at 51 on Madison, the Seminole Booster Bar here, across the street from Cush's in Collegetown, between Tin Lizzie and Township. Hey, if you're in Tallahassee, come on down. Join us. It's a good time here. It's like a post-football game atmosphere here. It's unfreaking believable. And the Warchant staff should be here shortly. Ira, Corey, Azon, they'll be joining us here to mingle with the fans. And Tom Lang is back. And I guess we have Norvell coming up here in a minute. You got that queued up?
I hope Jeff was great, Gene, because I couldn't hear a damn thing. If you don't have the headset on, you can't hear a thing.
Jeff, you give him the mic and he goes. And
that's correct.
So go ahead. Cue it up here for Mike.
All right, we're queuing it up right now. So, once again, this is the Warchant.com post-game show, everybody. Calls are not working tonight.
Sorry about that.
We wanted to talk to you. We had plans to have the phone lines open, just as we always do in the post-game show. We apologize for that not being available tonight. But with that said, I'm about to share for you Mike Norvell's post-game thoughts that you can find right here on Warchant.com and the YouTube page. So, without further ado, Mr. Norvell, let me unmute him. Come on.
Incredible to see how many people are here today. The excitement, the energy within the we wanted to see guys go out there and compete. We wanted to see guys how they would respond in that type of situation. I'm really pleased with a lot of the young guys. I know there was 3 or 4 of the high school freshmen that that made big plays today, and that's definitely something that's very encouraging. In their first opportunity, with that many people, and obviously the focus of what today has been. But really pleased with that. I thought you saw, especially I look at the ones group. And just kind of the flow of it. First team offense, early on, was able to move the ball, made some really nice plays, extended drives. Scored a couple early touchdowns, and then the first team defense responded and was able to hold a field goal there throughout the rest of the half. I thought it was a good back and forth. We tried to really push the number of reps that we could get there in that first half, and then once we finished it up, we were having a little bit of fun with the grand finale there. But accomplished all the things I wanted to see. I thought there was some great physicality out there. Guys were playing with passion. So a lot of things we're going to have to continue to clean up. Some mistakes that presented themselves, which will allow us to grow and develop. That's one of the reasons why we actually, this is our 14th practice. We're going to come back tomorrow and get a chance to watch every play from the scrimmage, get a chance to go out on the field, make corrections, and then, continue to build upon our fundamentals so that we can be in the best position as we go into our summer program there in June. So with that, I'll go ahead and take questions.
The question will be Brennan Snow from Knowles Football.
Hi, Mike. Obviously, last year you guys didn't get a chance to have this game, didn't have a chance to have the spring, to be able to go through almost an entire spring here, no interruptions, to have the fans in the stands. I guess what do you think that this last month or two means for this program moving forward?
Well, it's huge. I know I've said it throughout the course of spring, but I truly believe that your identity as a football team, it starts forming now. And the winter conditioning is big for our program, our tour of duty, building that mental toughness and physical development that's critical. You get out there on practice where you really don't have an opponent. You have yourself. You have your guys fighting the position, and you have your teammates that you're going against every day. I thought our guys, they're starting. The mindset is coming, and the challenge, the embracing the work that's necessary. Everybody in the country right now is talking about the same things. They're talking about what they will be and what they believe they can be. I just want to see it. I want to see it in the work. I don't really care about the message. I want to see how they show up every day and come sit in the meeting room. How do they apply that, out on the practice field, and do they prepare and execute relentlessly throughout the work so that we can be the best version of us. And starting to see guys taking the proper steps so that we can accomplish that.
Yeah, Coach, you spoke about the young guys today. Just talk about Malik Mclean and just kind of what you saw from him today.
I thought Malik did some really good things, and he showed up obviously with the big catch there early. That was huge. You never know what it's going to look like. He's had a great spring. He's still had his freshman moments, no question, but to see his response and just that playmaking ability is something that we believed that we were getting when he signed with us. There's no doubt that he's going to put himself in a position as he continues to develop in the summer to be able to help this football team. And to what extent, that's on him. He's got to work, and he's got to prove worthy of that just by the consistency of that play. But really excited that he showed up big today. And I'm going to also give a shout out to Brian Robinson. Brian probably had one of his roughest days of practice. There on Thursday, and missed some opportunities. And part of the challenge was how he's going to respond today, and to be able to finish with a nice catch there and scoring a touchdown. That's what this program is built on. It's a response to adversity, response to success, because that is truly who you are. It's based off how you respond.
This will be Perry from Nation.
Coach, there were a few times that you called the play dead before even the ref realized that it was going to be a sack. Was that more of an interest on your part to prevent injuries or to give them less leeway as far as escaping the pocket?
That's one of the things that going through a spring practice. The quarterback's not being live. There's going to be sometimes that probably calls both ways that will happen. Sometimes it's a sack, sometimes it's not a sack, or the quarterback would be able to extend. But I care about the situation. It doesn't matter to me if it's right or wrong. It still gives you an opportunity to have that response. And at the end of the day, if you go from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 18, whether it was or wasn't, you still get to live out that situation and how you respond there. And I thought that was big, in a couple of those early drives because the quarterbacks had to overcome, a couple of those, those things. But, I thought it was good work. And I really don't get too carried away on the sacks or not sacks. I mean, I try to, for me, it's all about getting the different things we can build from.
Raiders president Al Davis and NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle are bitter enemies.
Actually, Christine from 247.
Hey, Mike, kind of following up on Brendan's question about identity, how do you continue that momentum now that you're exiting the spring and heading into those months leading up to the preseason with continuing to do that? And, obviously you weren't able to do that last year. Which situation?
You embrace every day. I mean, you carry momentum by doing what's necessary to sustain momentum. And our momentum will be dependent on the investment we make. So if we want to carry momentum into the summer, well, we got to bring our butts to work every single day, and we got to have that same mindset, that same sense of urgency. Momentum can change in one play. Momentum can change in one day. So as long as we're making the choice to give everything that we have for this opportunity and for what we say that we want to accomplish, then we will. And so that is that's the challenge. And it's it's a daily challenge for our guys. We're about to finish up the spring semester. It's the same thing with what they're doing academically. Just because spring ball is going to be wrapping up here tomorrow. I mean, we've got to finish strong academically. We've got to do all that we can. And whether it was a first class or where we are now, all of them are going to count. So it's the same thing with our workouts as we go into summer conditioning, whether during discretionary time and guys are at home, the choices they make during that period is going to be critical to where they are. And so I'm glad our guys are going to get a few weeks, to really just kind of almost decompress from this season, and I think that the entire academic year, because it's challenging. To not have a spring break, to have the quick turnaround. We start early in January, and our guys have done a really, really good job, and how they've handled themselves. And so, they're going to get a little time, and then we're going to get back to work and continue to push so that we can have that momentum once we get back in fall camp and leading into the first game.
Could be Kurt Weiler from Tallahassee Democrat.
We've seen the ups and downs from Mckenzie as he's kind of getting comfortable in the new offense this spring. It seems like today was the best day from him, at least that we've seen. I guess how nice was that to see from him as he's kind of, I'm sure, getting more comfortable within the offense?
It's just continued growth, like you said. I mean, I thought Thursday's practice was one of his best practices that he's had. So that should happen. With more repetition. Just that comfort, that understanding. He's a very seasoned player. You see the same thing with Jordan. As those guys are, you take the experiences that Jordan got last year and kind of how he's growing and developing, and his ownership of the offense. And there's still things that all those guys are going to have to clean up, but they embrace the day. And whenever they make a mistake, I mean, they receive the information and then they work to apply it so that they're not making the same mistake twice. And those are the things that you like to see in competitors. Tate's doing that. And Chubb is doing a great job of that mentally, just even though he's not able to go through things right now. But you see that quarterback room taking ownership of their performance, whether it's in the classroom or it's out there on the field, and that gives you a great chance to be successful.
All right, next will be Ira.
What are some of the things you've seen from the defense over the course of these 14, soon to be 15 practices throughout the spring? Overall, big picture from the defense.
I like what I'm seeing. The steps up front. I think Jermaine Johnson. He showed even early today that he is a force to handle there. Off the edge in the run game and the passing game. I think Dennis Briggs, Fabian Lovett. I mean those guys are a year stronger, a year more confident through just the understanding of what we're asking them to do schematically. Derek Clennan's actually, he's had a really nice spring, and just with the opportunity that he's been presented, I think he's continuing to grow and get better. Just the constant competition is pushing guys to improve, and it's just trusting those fundamentals, play in, play out, knowing where you need to be, and then being able to apply the fundamentals in the moment. And I thought there's some great open field tackles at times, and there's some were some that we missed because of, truly just a fundamental breakdown. And, you guys have to learn from that. But, I think that we have just playmakers there in the defensive backfield. A guy that showed up today that I gave up an early play, but I thought responded was Akeem Dent. And Akeem's somebody that I want to see, really kind of take that next step. He missed a couple weeks here in the middle of spring ball. But, I thought that was critical. Was when he gave up the early play, he didn't stay there. He came back, he responded well, continued to compete and do the things necessary. But, I like this group. I like the defense. I like, we're going to get a couple of guys. We've got to get back and get healthy. But I think these guys are starting to play with that edge that's necessary and really being able to trust upon each other to do the job that's required.
Next will be Max Moody.
There we go. Hey, sorry about that. Hey, Coach, Max Moody with Locked On Seminoles. Can you talk a little bit about DJ Williams' performance today? I mean, coming in as a transfer, he looked extremely versatile in the offense, catching passes, running up the middle. Can you just talk about sort of what you've seen from him being on campus already and what his role is going to be going forward?
And DJ was somebody that we wanted to see more of today. He was kind of hobbled throughout the first part of spring. Had a slight ankle that just really wasn't able to do as much as we'd like, and especially in the early scrimmages. So we held Jay Sean. I mean, Jay Sean got the bulk load of the work in the second scrimmage and did a phenomenal job, and he's had a great camp. But we wanted to see DJ and Lawrence and Trey and let those guys really showcase what they could do. And I think DJ brings a great value to our running back room. I mean, he's an extremely hardworking young man, intelligent. He understands what to do in multiple spots. Now it's just getting comfortable in the language, right? And what that is. Understanding the tracks, what we ask from our backs, and all that comes with it. But he can play with a low center of gravity. He's tough to tackle. And I thought he had some good plays today, which is what we needed to see, just because we haven't had that opportunity, throughout the spring. So that was a good day for him.
Next will be Matt Baker from Mckenzie.
Mike, now that you're one practice away from the end of spring, what's your assessment of the quarterback position? Has anyone kind of separated themselves in that?
I mean, I felt really good about the quarterback room. I think that these guys have all shown that they're growing and they're getting better. I think that Mckenzie finished up this last week. He's done a really nice job of just trusting the process of growth. And Jordan Travis I think had a phenomenal spring. I'm really excited about the steps he's taken as a passer and understanding. So I mean, it's going to be a fun battle to watch. You'll get Chuba back cleared here for the summer, so he'll be a full participant there. And I liked what I saw from him in the first week, but we wanted to make sure this thing was 100% as we got going into the summer workouts. But excited to get him back in the room, and those guys are going to push each other, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I know Tate got some learning experiences and just situations today that he's going to be able to build upon. I like that room though.
All right, we got 4 more, so that'll wrap this up. Go back to Brendan.
I might kind of following up on the quarterback room, the competition that Mckenzie and Jordan kind of pushing each other throughout this spring. I guess how good was that for both of those guys to kind of keep always responding like we saw today?
I mean, that's what it should be. And, yes, the quarterback room in that position is always a unique dynamic because, for the most part, one guy's going to play at a time. And so, I mean, that's where, that everybody wants to be that guy. Everybody wants to be a leader. But when you can embrace the competition, that's going to push you to respond. And, these guys have just gotten better and kind of, kind of fed off of each other and helped each other. And, when you're able to help somebody that you're in a competition with, I mean, that speaks volumes to who you are as an individual. And that's what we want. I mean, you play quarterback at Florida State, you better be in a competition because that's something that we are going to have right. That room is going to be one. That's what this program has been built off of incredible quarterbacks, and I'm excited about what we have. I'm excited about what's coming. And, that's something that we're going to continue to develop as these guys are going through it. But that competition is what makes it special.
All right, next we Corey Clark.
Corey mute. No.
You've been requested.
I got you. How about now? You got me now?
Yes.
Good now? Sorry, bud. Kevin Knowles, I know you're probably not excited about a quarterback throwing an interception, but that was a DB going and making a play on a ball when it was in the air. I guess just talk about him being a freshman, true freshman, embracing the moment like he did today with 2 big tackles for losses.
Oh, I thought Kevin was outstanding, and he's a guy that I've been really excited about. I know on signing day, I was there in December. I spent a lot of time talking about him because I just think he's a very unique player, and the fact that he does it all well here at this early in his career. He's still got some things physically as he develops, but I mean his attitude, his approach. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's from his academic coaches, and his approach to that to coach forms in the weight room to our athletic training. Everybody that he's around, and he has such a positive influence, and he wants to be coached. He is hard on himself. But I thought he rose to the occasion today, and he's had a good spring. Kind of been mirroring Jamie, a lot throughout the course of spring, and he's got flexibility to play, a variety of different positions in our defense. But we wanted to kind of force feed him the repetitions, and that's what's been nice to see, just how he's responded, and to play like he did today was great. I think that he's got a very bright future in front of him, and we're excited that he's going to be a guard goal.
All right, we'll go back to Chris Meade.
Hey, Mike, wanted to ask you about the O-line group. I know they're pretty banged up right now, but especially that first team group you ran out there today, a lot of young guys. How did they develop over those 14 practices? And I know it's tough to get a read because of continuity issues and whatnot.
And that's one of the things we knew going into spring that, when you got Devontae, maybe I missed the first part of it. We've had, some guys in and out, and that's part of it. But, we knew that the continuity wasn't going to be something that was going to, that execution might not be where it absolutely needs to be, but the fundamental development is something that's big. And I was glad today we got to throw Lloyd Willis out there with the first group some, bumped Darius down. It allowed us to look at a couple of different combinations. So I like where our guys are headed. Yes, we are young. There's no secret to it, but you see them developing. You see, we've got to be more consistent in our execution. We got to be more consistent and trusting our fundamentals. But these guys, they're hungry, and they know what's in front of them. They know the challenges of what we need to do, but they are absolutely competing with themselves and within their group to be that, to be a group that we know that we can count on. And I'm excited. They've got to have a great summer with them, no question about it. But it's going to be great to see Devontae, who's definitely a leader of that group, be able to get back, here this summer, and then just as those guys continue to merge and gel together. And so, I think it's a great group for the years to come, as well as what we plan on seeing here in 2021.
Last one will be Aslan Hadramandy.
Hey, Coach, I'm just wondering, the teams that you've had in the fall that have been some of your most successful teams, was it stuff that you could feel and see and sense in the spring? And what do you feel that you guys have kind of sown and hope to reap from the spring?
I think yes in the spring, because, you saw, those characteristics of work. You saw those characteristics of relationship. You saw those characteristics of response. It is a critical part of your team's development, but it's all phases. It's you can have a great winter conditioning program for spring ball, and if you let up, slack off, or you don't continue to push or continue to climb like necessary, you're not going to ever fulfill what you're capable of. And our teams throughout the years have been teams that have finished, teams that have played their best ball at the end, because they trust that process. And that's what we're looking for. And I will say that through 14 practices of spring, there's been a lot of positives. There's also been a lot of things that are glaring that we need to continue to improve on and continue to develop and enhance our understanding of what we're trying to do. And that's the part of our job as coaches and part of the responsibility of players to get that done. But we know that the summer program and fall camp are going to be critical, and then every game that we get, we're going to have to improve. But I do like the steps that we've seen, and so yes, with those teams, those championship level teams, those teams that have put themselves in that contention, you have to have a great spring to be able to do that. And I think our guys are taking those positive steps.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
We're back, Tommy.
Yes, we are. That was Mike Norvell, and you are. We couldn't turn up the audio. We can turn up our mic before he's done. That would have been overpowered by the ambiance. 51 on Madison Green. Unbelievable atmosphere here tonight. It feels like, I don't know, maybe 2019 or 2018 or a time before what we went through last year.
Pre-pandemic, we're talking about, Tom.
Yeah, we're not all the way there yet, but we're getting pretty close.
Hey, I got to say, as we had that break, I was able to walk around a little bit, meet some of the Warchant. We call them the Warchant pillars, Tom. And met Eric Angel, Seven Toms, Kirk Knowles here. There's a lot of the regulars that are here right now at 51 on Madison in College Town. They're hanging out. They're loving this. And they are wrapping up. The staff at Warchant is wrapping up the rest of the guys. Ira, Corey, Aslan, they should be here shortly to hang out with everybody. Yep. The sun is going down. It's getting dark, man. It's fun, man. It's like a September after a game here. And here we go. Tom is now showing what's going on right here at 51 on Madison. We're having a great time. Got all kind of people around talking FSU sports, having their favorite brew. Someone had asked what I'm drinking. Well, I'm empty right now, but I was drinking a Spear Pressure from our friends at Deep over there, one of my favorites. I think some really good craft beers. They got Proof. They got Deep here at 51 on Madison. And, Tommy, you're going to have to break out some cerveza here shortly.
Oh, yeah. You bet. Yeah, I mean, typically I keep a little light, Gene, before we
You're
get
being good. You're behaving yourself.
Well, it's because there's a lot of buttons to push, so to speak.
There is.
I mean, I even got to wrangle Jeff today. I thought today was my day off from doing that, but he stopped by, obviously, after being a celebrity coach, and so I got to interact with him. It's been a great day, Gene. You know, I remember the first game that Odell Hagan coached. Remember that? It was Delaware State. And of course, needed the win to become bowl eligible. To reschedule the game first week of September. And the only thing I could think of when that game was kicked off and the game was over was, today is a day of healing, man. It feels like a day of healing for a program that was hurt. Now, the times got darker than that. Things got worse. But today, again, I feel the same kind of energy.
Is that B-Mac over there? Am I seeing B-Mac?
You do. That is him.
Brian McFadden is in the house here.
Look at this. There's
Brenda
just,
B-Mac.
man, it's if you came up,
we got to drag him over here, but yeah, we'll try it.
If he sees us, we'll flag him down. If you came up here today from Orlando, Tampa, Jack, wherever, if you came up and down to Tallahassee today, you're going home with a smile on your face. It's not because the team is going to go 10-2. It's because there was enough there. There was enough to be hopeful about there. And for those of you that are just joining us, that's something we talked about when we opened the show. We have enthusiasm today. It's not just the energy of being around fellow Nole fans. There were some things to like about today's performance. Every position group, it seemed, flashed in some moments, Gene. And for those of people who are just signing on now and enjoying this video on YouTube, be sure to subscribe right underneath us. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. You'll get an alert every time Warchant goes live with its great content. But, Gene, for those of you
and hit the like button. We're at 87. Let's get that thing to 100. Come on, man.
87? That's no good. That's not good enough.
We can't hit 100. Come on, guys.
What did you like the most about what you saw today, Gene, for those who are just joining us?
Yeah, I mean, plays were made. I mean, if you're a defensive fan, you saw play, you saw sacks, you saw a pick, you saw some pass breakups, you saw some TFLs. We love the TFLs. If you're an offensive guy, you saw some plays down the field, so some nice touch by the quarterbacks. Mckenzie had a couple beautiful. He had the long pass to Burrell. He had the back shoulder throw for the touchdown. You saw Jordan Travis make guys miss in the open field, extend plays. Had the throw across his body to hit Cam McDonald over the middle of the field. You saw Toafili. You saw Trayshawn Ward. Those guys. You saw some good plays for the running game. So, I mean, really across the board, there were plays being made, and it was competitive. That's what you want to say. I was worried the first couple drives, Tom, because Mckenzie and Jordan both threw him down for a touchdown. I go, Corey's nightmare, because Corey was like all about, I want to see a defensive struggle. I want a dominating defense. I'm like, Corey, you ain't liking this right now because the offense is moving the ball up and down the field at will. But they did settle down a little bit. In the next two drives, I believe, by Milton and Travis, they both held them to field goals.
Right.
There were 2 field goals. So it was like carbon copies. They both drove for touchdowns. They both drove down for field goals. In the last drive, the defense clamped down on both of them, and nothing happened.
Well, one thing, if you go back and look at the McLean touchdown, the umpire gets the assist there. There was a bit of a pinch that the umpire made. That's why he was so wide open for Jordan to find him in his progression, and McLean obviously takes off for a really long touchdown. Every position group showed flashes of something better than we've seen the last couple of years. All we're looking for, we're not asking for a lot, Florida State, right, Nole fans? We're not asking for a lot, just some incremental growth that we can get behind. Organization, a team that plays for one another, a team that's committed to play for one another, a strength program that develops us and makes us stronger as we're here for 3 and 4 years. We're asking for the basics. I mean, and it's sad that we have to do that as Florida State fans at this time in the program's history, but that's where we are. So that's the key, Gene, is we're asking for little things, and we got to see a few of those little things today, and hopefully they add up more as we come out of the summer and into fall camp. I've got a lot more energy personally covering fall camp now than I did before I saw this performance.
And I think the fans do too. That's the important thing. I mean, if you came here, whether you're a fan, whether you're a recruit, whether you're a player, whether you're a coach, I think you go into this break with some enthusiasm, some excitement, because you saw the improvement. They talk about 1%. The coaches keep preaching 1% better every day. I think for the first couple practices we saw 4 weeks ago, I think they have improved. They look like they've been 1% each practice. They've improved. This product is much better than we saw at the end of last fall, and it's much better than we saw in the beginning of the spring. And you hope they can continue that through the offseason so that Notre Dame game comes. You know, this isn't a dominant team, but maybe it's a competent, competitive team that can give Notre Dame, maybe they can battle them to the end. Maybe they can pull off the upset, get the win.
Well, I like certainly where that game is on the schedule, given all that Notre Dame lost in its offensive line and the key positions on defense as well. You know, Gene, that's one place that we really haven't gone yet, and it's probably worth discussing, obviously, because now everybody got to see this team on the field in the spring. They have one more practice to go to clean up some of the mistakes, but for all intents and purposes, this was the culmination of spring camp. What did you see in the practices that you were at? You know, this might be a new audience that doesn't subscribe to Warchant's videos, and they're learning about us now, so they don't see some of the observations you had from the scrimmages or the practices. But what did you see when camp started about a month ago, and what have you seen since?
Well, I think one of the coach buzzwords is consistency. They seemed a little bit more consistency in terms of knowing what they were doing out there. I mean, the first scrimmage we went to, actually, they were pretty good in the first scrimmage, better than I thought they were going to be. But then you saw the second scrimmage where I sat next to actually Jeff Cameron. We sat together for that second scrimmage, and it was there were a lot of pre-snap penalties. There were drops. It looked like they took a step back. So, I mean, the fact that they've been able these last couple of weeks since then to show that progress is very encouraging. You know, I said the Mckenzie Milton to me is a guy that, frankly, the first couple of weeks looked lost. It was very disappointing. I think we had this wrong conception coming in that this guy who was this beast at UCF was going to come in here and just light it up, which is unrealistic. And I wrote about this in my war room, and I go, man, the guy, 2.5 years, he's been basically out of football. He suffered a horrific injury. He's learning a new offense. And I don't know why any of us, but we had this notion he's going to come right in and tear it up. Nobody could have done that. But the fact that we've seen a dramatic improvement from where he was the first 2 weeks to where he is now, the fact that it is a legitimate quarterback competition. 2 weeks ago, I would have said, you know, I think it's a done deal. I think it's Jordan Travis is your quarterback. And I can't say that. I think it's truly a coin flip. Who's going to be your starting quarterback against Notre Dame? And that's a great problem to have, Tom, that you have two guys who are not just mediocre, middling quarterbacks, the two guys that are good quarterbacks competing for that job.
So the one thing I saw about Mckenzie that I liked immediately was the hand talent. He could get the ball off from different angles under duress. He had the instincts of somebody with that kind of resume that came from UCF. You could tell that it was in him. The football instincts were there to create the extra tenth of a second, to create the space to get a throw off when there's pressure coming in his face. But the problem is the consistency of knowing the offense and delivering the ball. It wasn't there. He clearly is rusty, and you can understand that. But the question I have moving forward, even after Mackenzie's performance today, which was great, and he actually opened up and ran the football for about 20 yards and scrambled, is if this offensive line isn't markedly better, is Jordan Travis the only answer because of what he can do to extend plays? I think if this was an offensive line, Gene, from 4 or 5 seasons ago, that was average. I think this battle is on much more even footing. But that O-line has got to get better. Maybe they're going to add a grad transfer still in the summer. They get Devontae Love-Taylor back, obviously. He wasn't available in spring. Bavion Johnson was banged up as well. But if this offensive line doesn't get better, it's going to be much harder for Mckenzie Milton to win the job outright because Jordan Travis' ability to break the pocket is a natural fit for the problems that Florida State has. So I think that's where we're going next, right, is after the summer workouts in the fall, how much better is the O-line? And the great thing, Keen, is more reasons to smile. We're going to get to see those practices. So if you subscribe to warchant.com, use promo code WARCHANT30 today, you're going to get the inside info as to whether or not the offensive line is better. We're excited about covering this sport again. It's amazing.
And not only that, hopefully by August when practices roll around, we'll actually get to take photos and videos so you'll be able to see it. Look, I'm not complaining. What Mike Norvell did for us, and Corey did, if you haven't seen it, Corey did a great column writing about Norvell giving us unbelievable access, ton of interviews, for us to be able to watch practices and actually watch scrimmages was fantastic. So we love that. But we were extremely limited in terms of shooting photos, getting video. So hopefully that will open up a little bit for us. We'll be able to see that. But, I mean, Tom, you make a great point. That offensive line, probably Jordan Travis needs to be your quarterback. Average, slightly below average, maybe you start to tilt to Milton a little bit there. I do think everybody that's back, they should be better. Again, your best offensive lineman wasn't out there. Keep that in mind. Love Taylor will be back, and he was your best. And you go by PFF grades, he was one of the best tackles, really, not only for Florida State, but one of the best in the ACC, even in the country, how he graded out. And remember, Tom, there's that one little pesky scholarship still sitting out there for a transfer.
Yep.
So if we get the best case scenario, and you land some elite tackle that you could bring in, that dramatically improves Mckenzie Milton's chances of maybe winning that job. So I do really believe, and I love Alex Atkins. I think a great coach.
Yep.
He's done wonders. You've got everybody back. I really think this is going to be a, dare we say, competent offensive line come the fall. And I do think that opens things up a little bit more for Milton to be that starting quarterback.
Well, it's a wonderful place to be where you can count on development at position groups. Like you can count on position coaches to develop players and make them better. The one thing that I'm looking for, too, on defense is to see a greater level of coordination. There was a question when you were talking to Jeff a while back, and it was about the defense. Did the defense look better? Do we feel the defense is better? Well, if you have Jermaine Johnson rushing off the edge and he's available for you all season long, he stays healthy, that's going to make everybody better. We talked about that a little bit about an hour ago, that it's amazing how much better the defensive backs look when you have a pass rusher that is a problem, that offenses have to scheme around. They have to leave an extra blocker in to chip, to give that attention. It gives you single matchups on other sides of the defensive line, the interior or the opposite end. It gives you opportunities to blitz and bring pressures. I saw a defense that got downhill today. I know that we're a below-average team right now on both sides of the football, so these things may be skewed. It was like last year with Josh Kando having a hell of a camp. Is that Josh or is that the tackles are terrible, right? It's a hard thing to parse through in a spring game. But the thing that I'm excited about today is I saw physical players, I saw corners, safeties, and linebackers getting downhill and making tackles in space. Another reason to be excited.
Hey, put the camera. We got one of our pillars right here. Eric, going to put you on here. Just say hello. There we go. Eric, see, we got some of the Warchant pillars here joining us. Eric Angel, you see him all the time on the chat going on during the Warchant live shows that we have. And by the way, Corey and Ira are en route. They should be here shortly with Aslan. And, hey, by the way, anything you want to ask us here, Eric? Anything you got for us?
You're going to have to shout.
Mckenzie looked real good today.
What's that?
Mckenzie looked real good.
He said Mckenzie. Talk about Mckenzie. Yeah, he did. It's the best we just talked about. The best we've seen all spring.
Yes.
And it's a legit quarterback competition. I think it's one of the best things. And your point, too, what that will do, it's amazing what one guy, we're talking about the defense, Erica, what one guy can do to have Jermaine Johnson to break him down off the edge, and that opens everything up for the rest of the defense. It helps your defensive backs. It helps your linebackers and even the interior guys because they got to pinch out to the outside to watch him. And it allows Lovett, who has had a great spring, and Coop to get in there and make some noise in there too. So, I mean, having that one, if you have an elite pass rusher, Tom, that's a great point. It can make this defense, they might even finish in the middle of the defensive standings. How about that?
What a concept. Again, nobody is deluded here coming out of this spring game thinking that Florida State's a top 10 team or anything like that. But you're looking for signs of growth. You're looking for incremental growth, and you're looking for reasons to be excited. At each position group, you've got a reason to be excited, Gene. I'm excited about Jermaine Johnson on the defensive line. At linebacker, how do you not love Amari Gaynor in the middle of the field? Amari Gaynor getting all over, sideline to sideline, making plays. In the secondary, a young guy like Kevin Knowles, who, again, I brought it up earlier, but he flashed, getting downhill into the flats, making tackles, playing fast. He's not the biggest kid in the world, but he's aggressive. We've got to get the mean streak back, Gene. One of my favorite teams that I've watched, and obviously I came here in the lost decade, so I took anything that was halfway decent. That 2010 football team was limited. That 2010 football team was probably more talented than this one will be in the fall, but they hit you every week.
Yeah.
Nick Moody, Terrence Carter,
as soon as you said that, I thought Nick Moody. Was it Demp's knocking the paint off his helmet on that hit? I mean, it was nasty.
I saw some hits today. DJ Williams, the running back transfer.
Yeah, physical.
That dude finishes plays. I really like what he's going to be in short yardage situations. I'm getting excited about an 8-win team because we've been in the desert for a long time, and this is like a cup of water. That's what today felt like, and obviously, again, too, when you marry that with the energy we have here at 51 on Madison, the energy in College Town, it's telling you that football the way you remember it, the tailgates, the sights, the sounds, they're coming back. Look at 51 on Madison. This place.
There you go, guys.
And I can tell you, as somebody who's double vaccinated, I can't wait to mix it up when we're done here tonight. That's the whole point of this whole thing. So I can't wait to mix it up as soon as we're done here. But it feels good to be a Nole today. And football was what we watched. Lately, if we feel good being a Nole, it's because we tuned into the soccer program and the softball program, the men's basketball program, anything but football. Today was the growth we were looking for. I know I sound like I work for Florida State. I promise you, if it was bad, I'll tell you they were terrible. But I felt pretty good about it today, and I know you did too.
Yeah, trust me, we did all those post-game shows this last season, so we were plenty negative for all those things. So, yeah, this is a fantastic thing. We got Brian McFadden's out here with some other former players taking photos with people. That's really neat to see. A lot of people catching up. We caught up earlier before. I caught up with a couple guys that we were apparently in dorms together back in '85. Florida State is true freshmen, guys we just bumped into, man. This is a neat thing about coming back to games, the camaraderie, meeting old friends. So what a neat concept for the boosters with the whole College Town thing, and really it's so neat. All the places right now are hopping.
Yep, I agree. I just saw a comment, too, from Redneck Ron, so we'll put him on the board. Ward is the best running back. You know what? You can make arguments about each and every one of these running backs bringing something to the table. Last year, we were so starved when we saw LaDamian Webb look halfway decent. Everybody said, oh, what is this? Corbin looked good. Ward looked good. Toafili had 2 or 3 play string on the outside zone. They run the hell out of that play in practice, too. I was glad to see them able to execute it in the game. And the receivers caught passes. I know not every pass was caught, but if you saw the amount of drops that we saw in practice this spring, folks, today was much better. Downfield throws, back shoulder throws, contested catches. Like when Cam McDonald would make a contested catch in practice, everybody would look around each other immediately saying, oh, they can do it. But today was just far better. And I was glad also for the program too, Gene, that the weather was fairly it was fine.
Well, it's perfect by kickoff. It was absolutely sublime to have the clouds broke. It was nice and cool. It was a perfect day for football. And to me, that was huge, Tom. You brought that up about the receivers because you're right. Every practice we saw, every scrimmage we saw, there were way too many drops. And I get it, whether it was Portier, Burrell, McLean, over and over. We saw that in 2020. I mean, all the time there were drops all over the place, and it was really a big problem. And before we're going to wrap up here shortly, but I'm curious, we threw this out on the round table. You weren't in it, Tom, but I'm curious. So they've got this one, let's say they've got one scholarship left to get a transfer. If an elite wide receiver, and I know they got one coming in from Kansas, but to me still, Parchment, we'll see, but people putting a little bit too much hopes on that. If an elite wide receiver comes available before, let's say, a tackle, do you grab him or do you hold out for a tackle no matter what?
So, all right, am I promised a tackle is an option, like a good one?
Well, you don't know. And I'm saying before you know a tackle's elite, let's say there's no tackle at this point, and the way the transfer portal works, you can't wait. A guy comes in, let's say a 5-star-ish type wide receiver comes out. Do you grab him right away? Do you wait for that tackle hoping you get one?
So here's a nuanced answer. If the receiver has more than 1 year of eligibility, I go grab the receiver right away. If he's only got 1 year of eligibility left, I don't know how much better we're going to get with one. I mean, like, pushes you to 8 or 9 wins versus an offensive lineman. I'd rather grab the tackle. But I take your point. And the one thing I like about this offense is just watching how they sequence things in practice is they're gonna run the ball up the middle a lot this year. They're gonna perimeter screen you to death. They're gonna test their ability. We need to get better blocking on the perimeter, Gene. First of all, that's one thing that has to get way better for this year. But they're gonna dink and dunk their way, and then scheme something up the seams, scheme something down the field because they're gonna get your eyes and your body committed closer to the line of scrimmage. This offensive coaching staff is smart. They're going to coach over the lack of talent that they have. And because I believe in Dillingham and Norvell's plans on offense to coach above the talent that they have, I think an offensive lineman for that reason is much more valuable to me than a receiver. But
I get it.
If they could get either or, I mean, who wouldn't sign up for that right now? And I think also it's a much more attractive place to be after today's spring game.
Look who is in the house. If you can see him on the live cam. Come on, Aslan. Say hello. Aslan is in the house. And I just got word, and we put it on here. James B. is on the way. Another Warchant pillar. Eric Angel here. James B. on the way. The pillars are arriving.
So we got to do some housekeeping.
Yes, Ed Lemix. Oh, the Godfather himself, Ed Lemix, is in the house.
Oh, yeah. Ed says he's sorry.
We got a little Aslan there.
He had issues at the office because of the storm. Ed, we're sorry about the issues. I hope everything gets tidied up. But we certainly appreciate your support of the program.
And we appreciate so much your coffee and everything you do for us on the Wake Up Warchant.
That's who it is.
He is the Godfather. He is Mr. DeLuna Coffee with his son Brett up in Pensacola. And,
so by the way, Jamie loves his coffee. Yeah, Corey Clark was a good friend.
So we're the coffee aficionados. So we're getting Aslan converted. He's starting to appreciate his coffee. But you and I are Coffee and Jeff. We love our coffee.
Well, if Wake Up Warchant went live at 6 in the morning, I think you'd like coffee a lot sooner and hear him a lot faster. Also, I saw Effective Diesel dropped in a nice donation as well.
Oh, yeah.
And he asked the question, Gene. He said, is it the defensive line is much better, or is it the offensive line is still lacking? I think the answer is both. That's the hard part about parsing things out of the script. That's the limitation, and that's where you got to pump the brakes a little bit. I know that we've gone on.
We know Jermaine Johnson is an elite defensive end, so we know they're better there. We know the pass rush is better with him than it was. And I got to think, if you trust Alex Atkins, everybody, Robert Scott is back, Darius Washington is back, Lucas is back, Brady Scott, Maurice Smith, all these guys are back. You think they're better, and they're working with Josh Storms to get stronger. They're with the same assistant coach for a year. Oh, look at this, even Michael Langston. There we go, making an appearance.
How many
commits? Langston.
Any more commits?
Come on, Michael, more commits. He says they're coming, so stay tuned to warchant.com. Okay. You heard that from Michael Langston.
That was said with confidence, Gene.
Yes, you hear that? The commits are coming.
Yeah.
So stay tuned to warchant.com. And we got a thread with constant updates, and Michael's been on that.
That's right.
Come out here to 51 on Madison. We're going to wrap up here shortly. But come out and hang out with us if you're in Tallahassee. It's right between Township and Tin Lizzie's across from Cush's on Madison Street here in Collegetown. And, Tom, let us wrap this up because they're all here. But any parting thoughts, anything you want to leave the fans with?
Well, okay, so I'm a team guy. Michael Langston is a recruiting guy, right? I'm a team guy. I know that we had dozens and dozens of recruits, upwards of 100 recruits here this weekend. My parting thought is now it's time to get to the recruiting news. I can't wait to see the recruiting videos that come up on YouTube this week, the wrap-up, the insider notes. The premium recruiting board is going to be a place that I think a lot of people are going to click over to. As you can see, this atmosphere here. The energy we're feeling here, I think, Michael, maybe you can just nod if I'm right, is about the level that the recruits are feeling. They feel the energy of this weekend. Yeah. So the organization is what Michael is telling me. Obviously, the audio won't pick it up, but they're happy with the organization. And wow, what a difference that is from about 2 years ago.
What do you think the record's going to be this year?
Well, Eric Angel asked us last thing. What's your record pick, Tom?
Oh,
that's
all
a
right.
Tough one.
So I would have set the over/under win total at 6.5 before today. Move it up to 7. I think 7 and 5.
All right.
So 7 and 5. Turnover luck, something like that, it gets you to 8 and 4. Which for me, I'd be doing backflips. If they get a grad transfer tackle who's really good, though, then maybe you can scare 8 and 4 as a baseline.
Well, that's the other big question: Jordan Travis or Mckenzie. That's That's the $1 million question. I would say Eric, who's asking us this question, one of the pillars. I would say before today, I was going to say it's Jordan Travis. But after what I saw Mckenzie today, man, it's a coin flip. He balled out today. He looked good. He's thrown touch. It's clicking. He's picking up the offense. So I think, man, it's going to be a battle royale to the end between those two guys. So
if I had to guess,
who are you saying? If you're right now, you got to put the money on one. Who are you doing, Tom?
Well, you got to. Jordan is the more consistent player right now, but Mckenzie showed you something. So it's gone from a drastic lead. I think it's close. The gap is close because his teammates are going to believe in him. Mckenzie's teammates, they've seen it now. It's going to be fun. If I had to guess, here's my prediction. Warchant.com is going to generate a few bucks with clicks and YouTube this fall as we document this quarterback battle because we'll be able to watch it every single practice. Cannot wait for it. Gene, I guess it's that time.
I'm going right. I'm saying Jordan Travis starts against Notre Dame. That is my pick. Because right now, because he's won overall, he's won the spring.
Right.
But Mckenzie's definitely narrowed the gap. Will he be able to close that gap by the end of August? Maybe he will, but right now I got to go with the guy that won the spring, and that is Jordan Travis. And like you said, with the offensive line, we'll see where they're at. We don't know. But Jordan gives you a little bit more of that extra element with his legs. So I'm going to go with him right now. But like I said, it is sliver thin right now, the lead. So it could go either way.
I would say that's probably the best place to leave it. One more reminder, folks. Warchant.com is the place to be this weekend. The recruiting nuggets, they're coming in fast and furious. Recruiting recaps, insider reports, video wraps, all of it. So Warchant.com, subscribe to it if you haven't already. Keep it here on YouTube for the video content as the commits are coming. Michael Langston was here. He said it. We want to thank our friends, 51 on Madison, for their hospitality today. This has been a fantastic experience, Gene. I feel alive again as a football fan. This has been tremendous today. And obviously, we want to thank everybody who supported this program today. All the stickers, the pillars of Warchant's.
Yes, the pillars are here. The pillars and the staff. I don't know. I haven't seen Ira yet. Have we have an Ira sighting yet? Or he's probably so popular he couldn't even make it down. They probably stopped Ira because he's the coracle.
If anybody does the extra work, Ira might still be looking at some of the recruits with the binoculars. Maybe he broke the binoculars to see what's going on.
He did have the binoculars, but you know what? He's trained Aslan. I saw Aslan break out the binoculars today too.
All right,
so he's training. He's training Aslan. So we got Jeff Cameron here. We got Aslan, Corey. We got Brian McFadden over here.
Yeah.
And we got the first ladies of Warchant over here. So we're having a good time.
So I guess that's it from here. We want to apologize for the folks that we couldn't talk to on the phone today.
Gator Kirk, Daryl, Mark, all you guys, so sorry we couldn't bring you on, man. But Wake Up Warchant, we'll be back Tuesday night. We'll have all you guys on. Thank you so much, everybody that came out, everybody that's tuned in on YouTube or Facebook. Thank you for joining us. It's a great time here. We'll be back soon. We'll have a lot to talk about. Like Tom said, Michael was giddy. There's going to be some recruit stuff going down the next couple days, so stay tuned.
For the founder and administrator of Warchant.com, Gene Williams, live from 51 on Madison, we sign off. This has been the Warchant.com postgame show, FSU spring game style. We'll talk to you next time.